Huzzah! Here I am, boys and girls. How you doing? Just get me a cup of tea. Need that if I'm going to read absolute drivel. It's good for my morale, right? I am an Englishman after all. How's everyone doing? Who's in the chat? Davy Parker's in, Martin Wilding, Traban, Paul Jepson, Ralph Cray, Whiskey Straight Al, JVP here, Two-Tone, John Lee, Teresa, Jack McLeod Jr., Mark Thompson, Scout Orby, Stevie Orn, Sean Sim, Manda Sky. That's quite a quiet one today for my impeccable standards. This is going to be a bit China heavy, this one, because there's a few stories that intrigued me about the old kitchen sinks today. Kitchen sinks, kitchen taps. Do you know the difference? I'm sure people from England do. I'm hoping that's a euphemism that could slip under the YouTube radar. That's another one that I find sort of ridiculous. I've said this before. The shortened version of Pakistani. I know this is controversial because the left have just decided it is. But if you think about it for 2 seconds, it isn't. I don't see why the shortened version of the word Pakistani is instantly the worst thing ever. Like, it doesn't make any sense, does it? My friend Atif, who I used to knock about with when I was a teenager, we used to say, "Oh, my mate so-and-so's a what slang have you got for that? a Joe Dacky." And it depends on what you call them, doesn't it? If you're a racist and you're insulting someone and saying you're big-nosed smelly, then it's sort of bad, isn't it? But I don't see why a simple contraction is insulting. If Brit isn't insulting, or Scot, I seriously don't understand why that is. It should depend on the sentence. If you use it in a sentence where you're slurring them, all X have a tendency to explode, yeah, that's pretty racist. But if you say, my best mate, how does that make any sense? Like, it's not logical, is it? But they control the language, so you just have to stupidly listen to it. Again, it's not liberal. I have a liberal perspective. Logic dictates it depends on how you use it. If you say, "Oh yeah, my mate's a contraction," well, why is that a big deal? Brit. Same as, like, it's quite insulting if you're in Northern Ireland and an Irish bloke shouts, "You dirty, stinking Brit bastard." Surely that's a bit racist as well, isn't it? It's a slur based off your ethnicity. But yeah, even Afghan isn't a slur, is it? It's so weird. Ind. If you started calling Indians Inds or Indies, would that be bad? They get to decide. They're in charge. They're in charge. Yeah, I do sort of understand that one. Again, it's a bit more logical. I understand it in the fact that it's pretty insulting if you say it to someone who's whatever, Moroccan, Algerian, Indian, right? They don't like it. If you say it to an Indian bloke, "All right, mate," and you call him one of them, they don't like it because they've been mistaken for something. But again, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's like someone calling me a paddy. I get that all the time. 99% of the people I talk about out here think I'm Irish or Scottish. It doesn't offend me. I don't go, "Fucking hell." Although I will say, you know what's super weird about that? This will make the Irish, Scottish, and Welsh amongst you laugh. I've noticed that having a massive chip on your shoulder is ubiquitous to every small country that's next to a big one. Because when an American says to an English bloke, "Oh yeah, I like Scotland. It's a great country. It's nice to meet a Scotsman." Or to me, usually Irish or Scottish, they never think I'm English. You don't get offended. They say like, "Oh, you're from Scotland?" And I go, "No, mate, I live actually quite close to the border with Scotland, but because I'm Northern, but I'm actually English." But if you say to an Irishman, a Welshman, a Scotsman, "Oh, you're English, are you?" they get massively offended by it. And I've noticed in the United States, if you say to a Canadian, "Are you an American?" they go, "Hey, wait, I'm not a fucking American. Hey, boot, what's that all about?" right? But if you say to an American, "Oh, you're Canadian," they don't get offended. They go, "No, no, I'm American." So it seems to me it's when you're from a small country, you've got a massive chip on your shoulder, which, you know what? It makes sense because you do that with towns as well, don't you, in England? People from Middlesbrough have got a chip on their shoulder. You don't like it when people, you like to call Middlesbrough a shithole yourself, but when anybody else calls it a shithole, you go, fucking hell, come on then. Howie the Daft Cunt. And then they go, what? So don't know what Howie the Daft Cunt even means. What? They don't actually know that you're attempting to instigate violence against them. Howie what? What? Who's he? So that's funny, isn't it? Jack's a Welshman who doesn't mind being called a sheepshagger. Well, again, I'm assuming that this is going to be with like all things in life. Probably depends on your political views, doesn't it? If you're a based right-wing, centre-right type who's all about individual liberty, you probably don't get that offended if someone calls you a sheepshagger. If you're a whiny, woke, left-wing fucking, what's the word, polite effort? Daft cunt. If you're one of them, you probably cry about it. Oh my God, I'm just being racially abused. I wouldn't go crying with the authorities if I got... I keep making rape jokes. I shouldn't. I wouldn't go crying to the coppers if I got bummed. I certainly wouldn't do it if somebody called me a pasty, northern, smoggy, white cracker mofo. I don't care. I don't care. It is, yeah, really. Really, if you're not... Basically, if you're over the age of 15, you shouldn't cry about anything, could you? Oh, Matt C4 went to Longlands College, yeah? Longlands short education, because you learn fuck all at college in Middlesbrough. The only thing you learn in Middlesbrough is how to be a pisshead. When my mates were in university, all they did was piss up. I used to go home on leave and they were just drunk 7 days a week. I thought, hang on. I was the one who was trying to join an elite all-male drinking club. All you have to do is go to an educational establishment in Middlesbrough. You piss all week as well. Anyway, favourite war movie? Who sent that? Apocalypse Now. I thought Apocalypse Now was fucking dull, mate, as far as war movies go. There wasn't enough scrapping in it. Platoon's better than Apocalypse Now. And I know that's controversial as well because Platoon's not clever. Apocalypse Now tries to be quite artsy-fartsy, doesn't it? Platoon's a more entertaining Vietnam film than Apocalypse Now. Definitely. So, yeah, Vietnam films, I think Platoon's the best. World War II, Saving Private Ryan, there was a few negative parts, but the action scenes were fantastic. A Bridge Too Far's a beauty, obviously. Got the airborne and the commandos in action. Full Metal Jacket was entertaining, especially the first half. Somehow they made the first half. The training is more entertaining than the war in that one. But I think that's for anybody who's been tortured in basic training and finds it amusing to look back upon. Anyway, that's enough dits for one day talking bollocks. Who cares, Patrick? Who cares? I certainly don't. I couldn't give a monkey's fart. And like I keep telling you, right, if you're a conservative-minded chap, you actually know history. And you're well aware that basically the inhabitants of the 4 islands that make up the British Isles have been shagging each other for several millennia. So really, there's no sense worrying about it too much. Like, as far as I was aware, there was nobody close in my family that was Irish. Scottish and Welsh, but not Irish. And then you get your DNA done, and you're like, oh, yeah. Turns out I am. Who fucking cares? It's no interest to me. It's because I'm a tough guy. I've told you. When you're a tough guy, you don't. If you're a straight tough guy, you don't mind getting bombed because you're like, I'm fucking nails. I'm nails. If I got dragged down an alley and bummed by 20 sailors on a night on the piss, I'd just suck it up, deal with it. Check myself in the mirror, march back into the boozer and go, hey, lads, you're not going to fucking believe what's happened to me there. Anyway, get me a pack of frozen peas to stick down my drawers and we'll crack on with the night, shall we? Don't want to be a pansy about it. I'm a stoic straight man, so I can happily deal with a good bumming. Anyway, right, stop talking about bumming. I do too much of it. And occasionally people in the chat accuse me of being a closeted homosexual as a result. People with no sense of humour. frequently accused me of being a closeted homosexual. I don't know why. I don't know why. Right, let's do the news, shall we? Chinese diplomat involved in protester attack. First thing I thought of when I saw that, based. All right, we could learn a thing or two from the Chinese. Definitely not with regards to lockdowns or civil liberties in general. But hey, after the last couple of weeks, I'm well on board with filling in a few protesters. Xi Jinping's he's based when it comes to dealing with them bastards. Go back the next day. Yeah, go pretend you're looking for your wallet the next day. Right. Stop it. Let's do the news. So let's first of all listen to Alicia Kearns accusing Chinese officials of beating the protesters. I bet that's how she talks. She'll be woke. She's from Manchester, right? So I'll just assume she's a lefty twat. Let's just Google out of interest. Alicia Kearns, don't really know off the top of my head what party she's in. Oh my God, she's a conservative. Well, it doesn't matter then, does it? Because in this day and age, the conservatives are fucking woke as well. Yeah, all right, let's see. A protester. This is why Mummy is a protester. Let's listen what Alicia Kearns, this fucking dumb sow, has got to say about it. Come on then.
On Sunday, these peaceful protesters gathered outside the Chinese Communist consulate to campaign for human rights in Hong Kong. What we saw was the Chinese Consul General then ripping down posters and peaceful protests, and soon followed grievous bodily harm against a Hong Konger, one of whom was hospitalised for taking part in a peaceful protest. Some were then dragged onto consulate territory for a further beating by officials who have been recognised to be members of the Chinese Communist Party. We cannot allow the CCP to import their beating of...
But you will. But you will. This is the point I'm making, right? All joking aside, should you be knocking 10 bells of shite out of peaceful protesters? No, you shouldn't. But I'm going to rant about this story, and then I'm going to segue into another story which is linked to it, also involving the kitchen sinks. And I really do not understand where our fucking leaders get the brass neck to gob off about it, because Alicia Kearns is probably bought, owned body and soul by the CCP, all of them. Same in America. Joe Biden, they own the fucker. They buy his son's art. The Chinese have given more money than you can shake a stick at. Patrick likes that one. Yeah, remember, the civilized ones are the kitchen taps. Everybody knows that. That's another one I didn't understand when I was in Japan. And I used that shortened version. And some no Japanese person complained about it, but some woke cunt started having a go at me. I said, oh, my mate Masaki, he was a Japanese lad I made football with, friends with in a bar. And I started playing football with him and his mates. I was out there a while. I said, oh, my mate Masaki's a kitchen tap. And he went, fucking hell, meltdown, as if it was like, as if I said, I think everybody that happens to be Japanese should get loaded into a gigantic cannon and fired at the fucking sun. And it's so bizarre. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand it, how shortening words has become fucking the world's worst thing. I don't get it. The N-word totally makes sense. Calling a kitchen tap in a perfectly reasonable, friendly way because you're English and you shorten everything because you're a lazy bastard when it comes to speaking properly. I don't get it. But anyway, I won't keep going on about it because Suza might see it and go, oh my God, therefore that means he wants to fucking eat the Prime Minister of Japan. He wants to dig up Shinzo and fucking bend him over his gravestone. People are mad. People are mad. And I'll stick with my... You can't... Do you know what that reminds me of? You can't say that. When I was in Huntsville in Alabama, I don't know what we were talking on about. I think one of the lads had caught an STD and he had to go to the clinic, and he was telling me about the umbrella, and I was like, oh yeah, that's when they jam a big metal rod down your kitchen tap's eye, isn't it? And he went, You what's I? And I went, you know, fucking all in your cock. I said, what do you call it in America? He was like, dick hole. Like, I don't actually think it's in common parlance in America, but to me, and it might just be a northern thing, but literally since I was about 5, everybody has always called it that. That's what it's called, isn't it? It's called your kitchen taps. As far as I'm aware, I didn't even know there was another word for it. It blew my mind when he said he'd never heard it. I was like, well, what does everybody actually call it in America? Totally took me by surprise that there was a different term for it. I was like, whoa, that's weird. So yeah, that's been in common parlance. Ever since I was old enough to know what a cock was, that's what the hole in the end of it's been called. So I'm like, weird that. Weird. That's in the Middlesbrough dictionary. That like the teacher that in primary school in Middlesbrough when you're learning the anatomy at about the age of 6. This is your arm. This is your leg. This is your kitchen tap's eye. And that's your bell end, and the little bit underneath it that attaches it to your cock, that's your chin strap. Right? That's your chin strap. Apparently, you can snap your chin strap, which I didn't know. Obviously, you call it your chin strap because it keeps your purple helmet attached to you. Oh, no, I'm talking about cock again. Stop distracting me in the chat. Talking about penis. People are going to think I'm a uphill gardener. So yeah, stop it. We're not talking about penis anymore. Let's get back to talking about the story, right? So Alicia Kearns is owned body and fucking soul by the Chinese Communist Party. You say, oh, we can't allow this, but you will allow it. You will allow it. If you haven't caught on, you're as daft as a brush. They own us. The Chinese own us. So just get used to it. Suck it up. One of China's most senior diplomats was involved in violence against protesters. Brilliant. And what are you going to do about it? The square root of fuck all. What we saw was the Chinese consul general then ripping down posters and peaceful protests, Alicia Kearns said. MPs in Parliament have privilege allowing them to speak freely without legal action. Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's the pointing that out, because if she didn't have parliamentary privilege, she'd probably be fucking in the cells, local Met station, wouldn't she? Because the Chinese own them. They'd have been like, lock her up. I want her getting raped with a broom shank by 2 o'clock this afternoon. And they'd be like, yes, boss. Yes, and Bartham. Because the Chinese own us. If you're not paying attention, you deserve it. You deserve it. When a rampaging Chinaman comes round to weld you into your apartment when you get COVID again, well, it's your own fault because you don't pay attention. China has not commented. They don't need to. They don't need to. When you own the British government, you don't need to, do you? It's even worse in America. In America, one of their senators was humping a Chinese spy, like some big fat rat's bloke, shagging some young Chinese bird. No one said anything about it. Just, who cares? Who cares? She was sucking him dry of information and also baby gravy. She was sucking him dry of information and whatever, knacker tea. It's another good euphemism regarding the genitals. I know loads of them, thousands. I've got an encyclopedic knowledge. She was sucking him dry of information and knacker tea. There you go. The Foreign Ministry in Beijing defended the actions of consulate staff. Of course they did. Of course they did. Spokesman Wang Wenbin is. That's what they say in York when they don't know what day the bins are coming. The bin man's due. Went bin. Because they don't pronounce it. They don't say the. Went bin, love. Spokesman Wang Wenbin said people had illegally entered the grounds and any country's diplomats would have taken necessary measures to protect their premises. Fair dues. Fair dues. Fair dues, innit, Prime Minister? Yeah, fair dues, defo. In a tweet, the Foreign Secretary, James Cleverly, another worm, said, I've ordered the summoning of the Chinese chargé d'affaires to demand an explanation for the shocking scenes, and they don't care. And they'll ignore your summons, Jim. Jim, you fucking dipshit. Peaceful protest is a fundamental right in Great Britain. Oh, is it? Well, I'll tell you what. I think we can take a few lessons from the Chinese because I've just seen a load of middle-class arseholes binning milk all over the floor in Waitrose and protesters blockading the streets so working class can't blokes can't get to work. It's always them that pay the price, isn't it? So who cares? Who cares? Anyway, so like I said, the ultimate takeaway from all this, which is what I want to segue into the next story, is that, as usual, our politicians are secretly in league with the Chinese and allow them to do whatever they want. And the Chinese give them money. You've all seen the stories. Labour politician, wasn't it a Welsh Labour politician taking tens of thousands off a Chinese CCP member? The bribes on all of our politicians are quite staggering. The CCP own them all. But in public, they'll whinge about it and say, oh, yeah, we've got to stand up to the Chinese. They do not mean a word of it. What they're trying to do is play this game to placate the working classes, the masses. But really, they're all getting rich off the back of the CCP. They're all taking money off them. They'll let them do whatever they want. This will amount to nothing. James cleverly, oh yeah, I've summoned this. You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing. If you beat the fucking piss out of one of these lefty protesters in Waitrose, you'll be in jail the next day. But nothing will happen to these people. I guarantee it. Think they're going to be in Wormwood scrubs mopping out the cells? I don't think so. So this is all nonsense, right? It's nonsense. They let them do whatever they want. None of them will get prosecuted. You knock the shite out of a hippie, you're going to jail the next day. Chinese man hospitalizes a few fucking of the great unwashed and nothing will happen to him. And if you think it will, you're not paying attention. So that links nicely into the next story I want to talk about, because it's more of the same. Look at this one. Where are we? UK pilots lured to help Chinese military. Ooh, the bastards. How dare they? How dare they? So it says, former British military pilots, in the main, normal blokes. Yeah, there's a few posh chiselers who was pilots in the RAF. We still get working class lads who actually make the grade, from normal families who go on to be pilots, right? This is more of the same. Subterfuge and lies and sneaky, oily, dirty, rat bastard manoeuvres from the degenerate scum that run the United Kingdom. It says, former British military pilots are being lured to China with large sums of money to pass on their expertise to the Chinese military. Up to 30 former UK. So up to 30. First of all, it's a storm in a teacup. It's 30 blokes. Second of all, so what? I know this might be controversial to some of you hardcore patriots out there, but what you don't understand is this is linked to the last story, because our leaders want to keep accepting massive payments from the Chinese. But when a normal bloke wants to stick his nose in the trough, right, leave the Air Force after doing his duty, honourable discharge, and then do what well-trained British professionals have always done, and then try and make some good money when they leave out the private sector. These necky bastards. I hate Jess Phillips. I hate Jess Phillips and I hate AOC. What I don't understand is, why have all these left-wing wankers got teeth like a dead sheep? Why? Have you seen the teeth on Jess? Can you imagine shagging that? Can you imagine? You would have to fucking, they get piercings all over now. You'd have to get 2 or 3 big ones and fucking bolt its mouth shut. So Goose and Maverick have got as well. And what I'm saying is, these woke politicians are all getting paid by the Chinese CCP. But when a normal bloke who leaves the military and he wants to go and do his just get a big payout for doing some training, they say, no, you can't do that. Can't do that. So what I'm telling you is, there's a public and a private face. The public face is, oh my God, the Chinese. The private face is, yes, Mr. Chinaman, give me all your money, I'll do whatever you want. It's a con. And they keep running stories like this to try and make the general public think that the people who run the show give a monkey's fart what the Chinese do. The Chinese own them. And as usual, they're taking the money off the Chinese, but they don't want you to take it. If the Chinese rang me and said, Bootneck, you straddled the battlefield like a mighty colossus, didn't you? Yeah, cheers, mate. Yeah, cheers. PTSD. Pfft, teenage lesbians get PTSD. I love a bit of war. Totally unscathed by it. Came home. Had a couple of dreams about it, but sort of disappeared after a couple of months. Easy. So they ring me and say, come and train some of our boys. How much? 250 grand for 6 months' work. Cheers, then. Cheers, I'd be off. Fuck up. If it's good enough for the Prime Minister and it's good enough for the Assistant Prime Minister, it's good enough for the Welsh Labour, and it's good enough for God knows how many else of them, and it's good enough for Joe Biden, and it's good enough for Nancy Pelosi. Is it not good enough for Bootneck? Right? You guys might be like, oh my God, Bootneck's being a bit seditious here. If it's good enough for the goose, it's good enough for the gander. And the one thing I like to think of is that I'm fucking consistent. I'm consistent. So I'm still being a liberal person here. I'm all about individual liberties. You can't stop a freeborn man or woman born in an Anglo-centric country from going and making a bit of extra cash. And if they don't do it, somebody else will anyway. This is a smokescreen. So it's like, who cares? I don't even give a shit if RAF pilots are going to do get a bit of extra cash. Attempts to headhunt pilots are ongoing and have been ramping up. Well, yeah, again, so what? They're entitled. Do we believe in free markets or not? We've spent 30 years. Just think of this. We've spent 30 years outsourcing our entire manufacturing base to China because Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi, Boris Johnson, and all the rest of them take money off the Chinese government. We've spent 30 years outsourcing it so that they make 99% of all of our drugs. Drugs, like, that keep people alive. But you, Mr. Pilot, after doing your duty, you're not allowed to go and train them up for a little bit. No, you can't do that. Boris Johnson can hum the Chinese national anthem with Xi Jinping's balls in his mouth because he's filling his coffers with looted gold. But you're not allowed to go and earn 237 grand a year for doing some training. Come on. And also, yeah, there's a fair point. If the British, they won't be very good, will they? We can train good infantry because it's cheap. Flying a plane, you need to fill it with petrol. And have you seen the price of petrol in the UK? They probably spend less time up in the air than a fucking doorstop. I think our planes are the best in the world. Our pilots are the best in the world. I don't think so. You need to put Pezza in a plane, don't you? So we probably don't spend too much time in the air. So it's just all bollocks. It's a lucrative package. It's being offered, yeah. And if they want to pay you, you're allowed to do it. At least they're doing some work for the money. Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi are just getting paid. They're just literally going, there's a few $1 million for your bank account. These lads are doing some work. So fuck them. I'll be honest, I thought there'd be more disagreement in the chat there. I thought there'd be a lot more like patriotic types who aren't really free market libertarians like me, the more patriotic conservatives saying, well, yeah, but you can't help the Chinese. It's a drop in the ocean. Sadwings, you must have been going to argue with me. It's a drop in the ocean. If a couple of dozen pilots want to go and do a little bit of training, do you think winning a war is going to hinge on a few fucking dozen pilots training some Chinese blokes? We've outsourced our manufacturing for 30 years. We owe them $30 trillion and a fucking panda. What do you mean? There's a few pilots gone over there. It's worthless. It's worthless. So yeah, they want to talk about this. Liz Truss said this government's taking decisive steps to stop the headhunting and protect our national security. You couldn't make it up. For 30 years, you've gave them our national security. The Chinese own us. They've got all of our money. They've got our manufacturing base. They've got everything. They've got all of our secrets, all of our technology. Do you remember the big hubbub? Because they wanted to give the Chinese everything from our 5G networks. Just get the Chinese to do it all. We've got our medical manufacturing, our arms manufacturing, all of our infrastructure, all of our chips, everything. They've got everything. And Liz Truss also probably taking money directly into a bank account from the Chinese government. She's saying, oh, yeah, we're going to take decisive steps to stop working class people from going and doing a bit of work for the Chinese. Pull the other one. Truss, you absolute twat. Liz Truss is a fucking idiot. I wouldn't trust her to run me a bath. Truss. Fucking brains of a pork chop. What's this? Armed Forces Minister James Eppie, he's an absolute chopper as well. The UK must change the law to ensure pilots don't pass. Oh my God. So yeah, sorry pilot, you've done your duty. You've fucking earned your shit wages serving the government for fucking years. You can't do a 12-month contract in China because that might make us lose a war with China. We've already lost a war with China. We owe them $30 trillion. It's laughable. It's laughable. So that was the point I wanted to make with that. It's all a fucking game to these people. Any form of conflict, any upcoming conflict with China is going to be lost because the corrupt, degenerate, bent as an £8 note, bent as Elton John's cock, degenerate slime that run the Western world are owned body and soul by the Chinese Communist Party. Because they're all corrupt and they're all on the take. And we know it but for a fact with the likes of Pelosi and Biden, the big dogs that just buy them outright. And we can only guess at how many in England they own. We know a few. But this is what I'm telling you. All of this is window dressing. Pretending they're going to do something about the Chinese beating up protesters is nonsense. They're not going to do anything about it. This is just more of the same, picking on the working classes. Oh my God, you can't go and work for the Chinese. Are you not a patriot? And they're getting money direct debit into them from the CCP. If you're an ex-UK pilot and you get offered 250 grand by the kitchen sinks, get yourself over there and fill your boots, mate. Fill your boots, lads. Because it will not make a jot of difference. We're not going to lose a war with China because 20 pilots go and do a bit of flying. 20 pilots who've never shot a plane down, by the way, because we're underfunded everything and we're shit. 20 pilots who've never shot a plane down are going to go to China and do a bit of training. Fill your boots, lads. Fill your boots. Because when we get twatted by the Chinese, it's going to be because presidents and prime ministers and corrupt government ministers sent everything to China. All of our manufacturing, all of our medicine, all of our money, all of our secrets, all of our tech. Everything. Outsourced our logistics, our manufacturing, the lot. So if you're a pilot, fill your boots. That's what I'm telling you. And regarding the other story, nothing will happen to these. There's the big two stories of the day. Oh yeah, I want to do something else, right? If anyone isn't aware, Bootneck got more views on his videos 2 years ago when he was at 1,000 subscribers than he does now. Because my nemesis, the winged she-beast of Silicon Valley herself, the porridge-faced fucking reptile, Suza Wajiki, shows this stuff to nobody. So unfortunately, I am going to have to attempt to do what Paz has done. My old mate Paz, he's got the right idea. You've just got to keep on trucking, which is what I've always told him. Like, fuck them. It doesn't matter how many times they fuck you, you got to keep on trucking. So I've revitalized my, some of you'll remember it, my antagonistic biscuit channel. Here it is in the comments. Click on it. Because I left it alone for about 7 or 8 months because I'm terrible at multitasking and I don't like to, you have to mess around signing in and out of things now. You've got to give them your bastard phone number. But I'm genuinely going to put some effort in to plug in this channel. So I'm going to put some videos up that I've old ones and I'm going to put some new content on there in the next couple of weeks. And I want to try and segue from Angry Bootneck to Bootneck Bants because It's ludicrous. I mean, the community posts tab is completely useless to me now. Let me just have a look at it off the top of my head, because I can probably show you quite easily. Community post. Yeah, it's worthless. Worthless. So here's my community tab here. I'm just giving you an example of how much you've got to deal with when you get fingered by the fuzz. So my community post, let's go back a bit. Typically, I get about 150 there, 50, 67. There's just nobody looking at them. 67. And there's no point in doing this if you can't communicate with the community, because that's what makes it fun, having a crack with people. That's why I like doing the lives, even though nobody sees them. There's literally about 300 regulars and nobody else sees any of it. So most of them I was getting, yeah, like, look at that, 141. 41. Now, if I go back, is there any way you can date this and just go back a while? If I go back more than a year, I was getting like literally 20 times the exposure. So this is why I'm going to have to relaunch the channel and do what Paz has done, because it is pointless having a channel where nobody sees anything. There should be a way to go through this faster. But yeah, look, 54, 37, 47, fucking 61. It's pointless. I'm just trying to go back a bit further. 7 months. I'm trying to think when they really started fingering me. 28 there. 28. If you've got 10,000 subscribers, how do you get 21 engagements with your fucking content? Ludicrous. And people that have been good enough to plug my channel for me, like Paz and Rotten Politics. And there's a lot of quite big YouTubers that have plugged my channel. I don't think it's being hubristic or, well, I don't practice false modesty. That's just completely fucking, that's pansy material. Basically, I can do this better than 95% of the people on this godforsaken platform. The ability to sit in a chair and humorously talk bollocks is a gift I've had since I was 4 years old. So I shouldn't be struggling to communicate with 30 people when I put a fucking post up. There we go. Numbers are a bit better from about a year ago. And this is the irony. A year ago, I didn't hardly have any followers. 2 years ago, I was literally getting more engagement with my community posts and my videos 2 years ago when I was under 4 figures. I had like 800 subscribers and I was getting 6,000 views on my videos. And now, because Suzanne's got me by the short and curlies, the fucking raddled slut. And my BBC Spews videos used to get 6, 7, 8,000, and this is 2 years ago. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to have to go for a relaunch. Well, I don't have to, but I want to, because, yeah, way better over a year ago, look. Averaging about 250 there, 500 there. Maybe it was that class EU meme that did me in. She doesn't like you slagging off the EU, Suzanne. So yeah, anyway, like I said, these are years old now, and I was getting more engagement. 447 for that one. And yeah, at the very beginning of my channel, I was in the thousands. So Suzanne can suck my hairy beanbag, is all I have to say on that. That's what I'm doing. Same with my videos. I mean, I don't even know. Can you look at your videos easily as well and do it? Doesn't seem like there's a nice simplistic way to go through them, eh? But basically, my BBC Spews videos 2 years ago, I was getting 6,000, 7,000 views. So those of you that still think, well, actually nobody watching this thinks that, do you? Because normal people watch my chat, who don't think shadow banning is a thing. I mean, basically everybody knows it's a thing now. Like everybody. The only people who deny it's a thing are the woke, who also have the brass neck to say, they say that cancel culture is not a thing, don't they? They go, cancel culture is not a thing. Yeah, doesn't exist. I was like, we're not talking about Bigfoot. We're talking about the Yeti. Cancel culture is not a thing. Really, when everybody gets cancelled all the time for no reason by you absolute rat snake, weasel, lower than a leprechaun's ball sack, walk rat bags. You don't think it's a thing? If they can cancel Kanye West, you don't think they're doing it to fucking Joe Dogshit from Glasgow? Pull the other one. So yeah, like I said, you get the point I'm making. Thousands more views a year and a half ago. Ultimately, I clearly am getting fingered, so I need to sort it out, don't I? There you go. The BBC Spews, look at that. 2 years ago, I was getting 6,000, 8,000. Yeah, so fuck them. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I don't care what Susan says. So we'll see how I get on. We'll see how I get on. I will make sure that I make some content for it. I'm going to, therefore, try and stick to my guns and actually make some shit. So yeah, there's the channel. Go and fucking like it. And I will put some videos on there this week. And hopefully, if I get to 1,000, then I can start streaming on there. And I'm going to gradually try and migrate over because it is pointless doing this. Oh, Blue Van Man's totally. They've therefore got you by the short and curlies, mate. That when you've got 150,000 subscribers and you get 10,000 views on your videos, it's ludicrous. Ludicrous. So they are massively fucking with you. Well, we'll see how it goes. If this works, maybe you should take a leaf out my back and make a new one yourself. Blue Truck Man. Blue Tranny Van Man. Anyway, bit long. So yeah, I'm not going. I am sticking around. And if I need to, I'll just come back to this one. But the Bootneck Bants is getting some leather in the coming weeks because it needs to fucking, I think I need to do a hard reset. All right, ladies and gents, that can do you for the day. Thanks for viewing and tuning in as usual. Have you noticed my artwork's a lot more palatable for the lefties there as well, isn't it? I just hope no conservatives click on the profile and go, a soldier dancing with a gimpified paratrooper. Yeah, it's the old antagonistic biscuit thing with a different name because I don't want to get rid of the bootneck nomenclature. So that's why, Ralph. Anyway, all right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'm at work tomorrow, so I'm not doing a stream, but I'll be back soon. Might see you on the weekend. I'll put some videos up on this channel and I'll see you all very soon. All right. Cheers. See you later. Take it easy.